Hey everybody, welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks for watching. Wow! This week, the Republican National Convention is simply a wow factor. We're going to talk all about it right here on The Right Side. Ladies and gentlemen, hi. Doug Billings here. On all of the podcast networks, we are there. Please look me up, The Right Side with Doug Billings, on your favorite podcast platform. We are on all of them. Whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, whatever, we're there. And go to YouTube because you want to see the grandeur, the splendor, the beauty, the charisma, and the passion of The Right Side with Doug Billings. You want to see it as well as hear it, and you know it. So go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel over there, please. We appreciate it. It helps. It helps a lot. We are enjoying a week of light and hope and wonder and joy, ladies and gentlemen. Night number 2 of the Republican National Convention. Wow. We couldn't have asked or scripted a better night than last night. It was incredible. What we're witnessing here, ladies and gentlemen, is the rebirth of the Republican Party. It's really quite amazing. It's a transformation away from the Rhino Republican Party. You know, the Republican in name only political party. The people like John McCain. We're turning away from McCain. We're turning away from the Bush family. And we're turning away from the pathetic likes of Mitt Romney. And what's his name? Jeff, I am a flake. Yeah, we're turning away from all of them, and the party right before our eyes is being reborn, rebranded, reinvigorated. It's astounding. It makes the small little pity group, the Republicans against Trump, a small group, they are made now to look the fools. The absolute fools. The movement behind this emotion that we're seeing displayed every night this week is powerful, and it's palpable. You can feel it. You can almost taste it. The excitement, the enthusiasm that these nights are bringing us. Juxtaposed the Democratic National Convention, all about gloom, doom, and yes, hatred. Hatred of people in this country who don't agree with them. And hatred for America itself. How can we doubt that the new Democratic Party, the new Democratic Socialist Party, hates America? Because all they want to do is gut it, disembowel it, rebuild it, and turn away from our founders. They don't love it. They don't appreciate it. They don't. The Republican Party is being transformed into a lot of things this week, ladies and gentlemen. It is now the party of the working class man and woman across the country. It's the party of minorities, all of them. Native Americans, Black Americans, Latinos, Asians, whites. It's the party of all. It's the party of the middle class. We're seeing a transformation of the Republican Party into the party of youth and vigor. It's the party of women. It's the party of the majority common sense people that are between both coasts and in all of our territories. That's the new Republican Party. It's the party of America. It's the party of hope and light. It's the party of finding wonder, joy, and meaning in America. And I think most importantly, without a doubt, what we've seen is that the Republican Party is now the party of all of those things, including God. There is no God in abortion. There is no God associated with people who support abortion. Last night was better than any convention from any party ever. And it makes me excited to see tonight and tomorrow. I think that, last night, beginning with Jonathan Nez, the leader of the Navajo Nation, wow, the leader of the Navajo Nation, speaking on behalf of all Native Americans, supporting President Trump in all of the endeavors that Trump has done to help the Native American population. But you don't see it on the mainstream media. In fact, the mainstream media lies as per usual and goes out of its way to find one-off whack jobs who will criticize President Trump about how he's treated Native Americans and other issues. But the truth is he's done more for them than any president in the history of our country. And Jonathan Nez was there to tell us so. Jonathan Nez was there to tell us how effectively and brilliantly President Trump helped save the Navajo Nation from what was really a critical COVID-19 infestation within that community, not just the Navajo Nation, but all Native American nations and tribes. So what he's done for Native Americans with regards to religion, education, the COVID crisis, land, benefits, and just help in general. Cheers to you, Jonathan Nez, for being brave enough to tell the truth. Then there was John Pounder, man. Wow. He's the founder of Hope for Prisoners. Now, if you weren't touched by his story of, being a criminal, incarcerated for bank robbery, and then his transformation and his conversion to Jesus, his conversion to faith, then I don't know what would touch you. I mean, I'm Irish. I can cry watching a McDonald's Christmas commercial each year. That story got me. And then, in a brilliant stroke of something that has never been seen before on TV and has never been seen clearly in any presidential convention, President Trump, in a stroke of brilliance, offers John Pounder a full presidential pardon. Now, I'm not sure about you, but my eyes were weepy. They were certainly not dry. And I'm not sure there was a dry eye in the room. The majesty of that whole thing, the beauty of it, and to see Mr. Pounder's response was touching. And for me, that sums up President Trump's heart. All of the people that hate his personality and don't like the way that he treats are intellectually immature because they don't see the truth. Their own hatred and their own anger. The New Democratic Socialist Party is the party of hate and the party of anger. And it's clear. A person who dislikes President Trump has nothing substantive to say about why. They'll just point to his personality or to his tweets. Ridiculous. So I thought that was one of the most powerful moments. There were many powerful moments. It was one of a line in a string of firsts, an event that has never happened before in a party's political convention from either party. I mean, it was just a night filled with firsts. It was a night filled with light, hope, wonder, and joy. Then we had Mr. Jason Joyce. I loved him, the guy from Maine who had that New England accent. He's a lobster and oyster fisherman from Maine, and how his story will not be covered in the mainstream media because, of course, it doesn't fit their narrative. But what he was talking about was that President Trump has negotiated now a zero tariff deal for American lobsters going to Europe. For the first time in history, no tariffs on American lobsters going to Europe. That's a big deal. It's a national and international big deal. But you won't hear Jim Acosta or CNN or MSNBC or any of the other whack job, low-rated, the Food Channel beats my network people talking about that story either. He told a very powerful story about how President Obama and Vice President Biden's refusal to release the tariffs from the lobsters, how President Bush didn't do it. President Carter didn't. No one has done it. And as a result, over the last years, people like Mr. Joyce go out of business. The fishermen, the oyster catchers, the lobster fishermen. We heard from cattle farmers. Chris Peterson had a similar story. Their businesses are going out of business and moving away because of the regulations and the unnecessary government interference. President Trump has slashed through all of that. And we have these stories from common people, not from Hollywood elites lecturing us from a place from where they don't even know what real life is. We have common Americans who are really the heroes of the story. And the Republican Party is the only party telling those stories. This is exactly how, you guys, that President Trump is transforming the Republican Party into the party of the working man and the working woman in the United States. Under Obama and Biden, under all of the past presidents, like I said, these people, their businesses, farmers, cattle ranchers, fishermen, people that worked in steel mills and factories and manufacturing plants and distribution centers, saw their businesses come to an end and the production move overseas. President Trump has stopped it and he's brought them back. And he did it from before he was even sworn into office. He started doing that. So that's how he's transforming, at least one of the ways that he's transforming the Republican Party into the working class party of American men and women. Sissy Graham Lynch, the granddaughter of Billy Graham, I think gave a nice and good speech about how the Founding Fathers did not want a republic where religious freedom and religious expression was squelched. It didn't want an American republic where faith in God was subdued. I can't tell you how many times I've had to correct both liberals and conservatives who take the whole Thomas Jefferson quote, separation of church and state, completely out of context. They take it out of context. Jefferson never meant to imply that church and state should be separate, meaning that we should never mention anything of faith or God in the government. He didn't mean that at all. In fact, he meant just the opposite. Every speech he gave and every government opening of any event, any assembly, any gathering began with a prayer and oftentimes with a benediction. The Founding Fathers were all men of faith. They wanted the faith to be expressed fully and completely within the fabric of our republic. To them, faith and the expression of it, the belief and hope in divine providence, was real and essential. And I think Sissy Lynch spoke to that. I think she spoke very well to it. God is essential. The only God that the New Democratic Socialist Party recognizes or searches for is the God of political power. Another thing I think you've noticed this week, and I touched on it just briefly, is that we're not being lectured. The tone of the speeches is not to lecture us and to condemn us and to make us feel sorry or apologetic for our American exceptionalism. The speeches and messages this week are filled with light and hope and uplifting messages and themes. The Hollywood elite is not part of the convention of the Republican Party, nor should it be. Now, there are a few Hollywood celebrities who are on the right side, for sure. But we're not being lectured by that group of people this week, and I think that speaks volumes. For me, the probably, if I were to outline, aside from the First Lady's speech, and we'll get there in a minute, the most gut-wrenching, the most powerful, the speech that took your breath away was the one from Abby Johnson, who gave her testimony about how she was once a high-ranking director with Planned Parenthood, and how over a series of time and from experiencing a series of events, she had a conversion of heart and a conversion of faith. And she spoke about the horrific experience of abortion. She said, and you remember that quote, "Do you know that abortion has a smell?" Wow. How she would see on the sonogram when the tools of death from the abortionist were approaching the baby still within the mother's womb, the baby would move away on purpose and in fear of and in pain of the abortionist tools of death. Frightening. Did you know that abortion has a smell? Wow. We have to remind ourselves that the New Democratic Socialist Party supports killing full-time babies by snipping their spinal cord at the base of their skull and inserting a needle into the brain to suck it out, to suction babies in the womb to pieces, place them back together on the table like a puzzle to make sure that no body part was left behind inside the mother. My thought on this to my Catholic friends, and I have many of you because I am a Catholic, to my Christian friends, to my friends of Methodist, Lutheran, Episcopalian, any denomination of faith, to my Jewish friends, to my friends who don't practice a faith but who are good and moral people. Listen to me. None of you, no person of faith or morality, can in good conscience vote for or support the new Democratic Socialist Party, if not for any other reason but for this one: the snipping of babies' spinal cords while it's still alive inside of its mother's womb. That's of the devil. Pure evil. And there is no salvation for anybody who supports that. No political party is perfect. But to support that keeps you from the kingdom of heaven. I feel strongly about that, as you can tell. But back to the hope and to the light. You know, last night, I got to tell you, Tiffany Trump was, for me, one of the big surprises. I mean, she did a fantastic job. She really did. Her mannerisms and her speaking patterns remind me of Ivanka Trump to a degree. She's a young attorney, a young recent college graduate. She spoke articulately. She spoke well. She spoke about how her demographic, young college graduates, won't have any hope of employment, will not see a robust economy and job market if her father does not win re-election. And she spoke convincingly about that as to why. The job market and the job economy under the Trump administration has been good for everyone of every demographic. That's not a platitude or opinion, it's fact. And I think Tiffany Trump did a fine job in explaining that. And then another touching and poignant message was from the police officer, Ryan Hollitz, who answered a call. And I'm sure if you saw it, you remember the story. He answered a call involving a woman who was a heroin addict and who also was very pregnant. How she confided in him that she loved her unborn child and wanted to help it, but had an addiction. So the police officer took the mother in. He and his wife adopted the baby, and they're still in touch with the mother. And we're happy to report that for 3 years, the mother has been drug-free and is sober. The little baby is happy and healthy. Again, common heroes, common American stories of wonder, joy, meaning, and hope and light, not the Hollywood elite. Yet another powerful moment, probably one of the most powerful moments, was the 5 new American citizens taking that oath. Gladly, we got to hear the entire oath of citizenship. Wow. I mean, that oath in itself is gorgeous and beautiful. President Trump was right there. The ceremony was broadcast live. The 5 new American citizens got to tell a bit about their story. What kind of hope is that? It's wonderful hope. The admiration that they have for the country, especially the stories they told from when they were in their home countries, how they looked to the light, to the beacon that is America, the United States. How can you not be uplifted by that? Completely different from what we heard about gloom, doom, and hate of America during the Democratic National Convention. I thought it was outstanding. It was done with dignity, and this is how immigrants legally complete the process of immigration. It was absolutely fantastic. Well done, Mr. President, and well done, and congratulations to you 5 new American citizens and to all of you who took part in the ceremony. Then we had Eric Trump. And, you know, his speech was fully and completely outlined. It outlined the vast number of accomplishments that his father achieved. And like his brother, Don, his older brother, Eric is a fine public speaker. Charisma, articulate, passion and vigor. He's got it. And it was calmly delivered. And it was well met and well received. It was, you know, juxtaposed against what a Biden presidency could be. I mean, it was the difference in the dichotomy was obvious. And I think for me, what really got me was Eric's closing remarks about his pride, his admiration, and especially his love for it. And he said, "I love you, Dad." That was nice. It was a nice touch. Like I said at the beginning of tonight's show, it's a family affair, and it should be for the Trump family. But I think that the Rock Star Award for last night has got to go to Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron. I mean, wow. Yeah, I'm jealous of this guy. He's got it all, folks. He's got it all. He's got good looks. He's got a great personality. He's a good speaker. He's got charisma like nuts. And he's got $1 million smile, that guy does. But he is, my prediction, we're going to hear a lot from Daniel Cameron. We may well see him in the next presidential election cycle as a candidate himself. He outshone President Obama when President Obama was then a senator in 2004. When Obama gave his speech, everybody thought that was like, Jesus walking on water, if only Obama would believe in Jesus. But I think that Daniel Cameron knocked Obama's speech off the ledge and tumbled down the hill. And Mr. Coleman, Daniel, just blew it out of the park. It was 100 to the 100th power greater and better than the speech we heard from Obama. And I love it when he was talking to Joe Biden directly. He said, Joe, we don't need you to tell us how to think. I'm black enough. I can think for myself. I mean, slamming Biden and his dementia. But Daniel Cameron is going to be a rising star. Mark my words. He, again, one of the highlights of the evening last night. Then another first. A Secretary of State has never before given a speech at a Democrat or a Republican convention, ever. So the string of first events continued when Mike Pompeo, speaking from the beautiful and the holy city of Jerusalem, espoused the fact that President Trump has ended wars, he's bringing our troops home, and he's ended the lives of leading terrorist organizers throughout the world, thus making not only America but the world a safer place. He reminded us of the move of the American embassy from Tel Aviv to the right and holy capital of Israel, Jerusalem, and all of the promises kept and made from Donald Trump. I think it was a great speech. Pompeo may also be on the short list of possible presidential candidates in 2024 as well. But again, he's a Kansas boy. I love him and think he's doing a fine job. Did a great speech. And again, another first from the Secretary of State. Then the Feast de Resistance, the final act, the finale, the grand finale. The First Lady, Melania Trump. Again, a complete wow factor in a night filled with wow factors. She was, without a doubt, the best event of the evening. And I don't know how anyone couldn't like that speech, and I'm just aghast and ashamed that liberals and the media have criticized her, even right now today, almost 24 hours after last night's speech. People are still railing upon her on social media. Absolutely crazy. But again, it's for those very reasons. And every time an elite Hollywood wacko mentions and criticizes her with vile and hatred, or whenever the media attacks her, what they don't realize is they're providing us the best commercials for President Trump's reelection. And they move the entire country, independent voters and never-before voters, first-time voters, they move them towards the Republican Party with every such attack. But Melania Trump is the definition of poise and class. She's without question the most refined, the most elegant, dignified, articulate, and beautiful First Lady in our history. She can speak 6 languages. And yet there are people out there making fun of and ridiculing her accent. I think that I loved the fact that her speech really was a juxtaposition of her life as a child growing up in communist Slovenia, and how as a child she would hear stories of this far-off land called America, where people found hope, they saw light, and they discovered wonder, joy, and meaning in their lives, and how when she came here, those dreams came true. The whole speech was really, at its core, based in her experience as a child of hearing the stories of wonder and glory and light and hope, and then having experienced the reality of those things as an adult and as a legal immigrant and citizen of our country. I think she's got a unique appreciation of what American exceptionalism is, and I think those of us who are what I call cradle Americans that were born and raised here, we often forget, or we don't fully understand or appreciate, it seems sometimes, American exceptionalism and what we mean, what our republic means to people across the planet, how it means hope and dreams fulfilled. Melania Trump reminded us of that last night, and it was magnificent. She clearly took the high road and distinguished herself head and shoulders above Michelle Obama and the hatred of America that she spewed forth last week, the hatred of certain people and demographics within our republic that she spewed forth last week. Absolutely, Melania took the high road. Didn't want to take her opportunity or her platform to degrade or speak hate or ill of anybody. She took and had the guts to speak about the violence in America, and she actually said what no leader in the Democratic Socialist Party has had the guts to say. Stop the violence, Melania said. Please, I implore you, stop. Of course, we're not going to hear that message from the New Democratic Socialist Party. The mob, the anarchy, that's part of their political electoral base. And by virtue of the silence of the New Democratic Socialist Party, they bless it. The mob, the anarchy, they encourage it. They think that the chaos is going to hurt President Trump. But mark my words, what they don't realize is that the mob, the resist movement, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, they move the country to the Republican Party. They are the best commercial for the reelection of Donald Trump that we could ever come up with. And the media shows it every day and every night, as if they think it will hurt Trump. I shouldn't be giving them this advice, but they shouldn't show it as much because it hurts them. But go ahead, show it. Well, I think that we need to hear much more from Melania Trump in the weeks and the months ahead of this election. I think she does the president well. There's no better advocate for a president or any elected official than his or her spouse, and Melania Trump is a superb spokesperson for President Trump, his administration, and the achievements that he's accomplished in the last almost 4 years. I think we need more Melania out there. People identify with her. They admire her. So I want to wrap up where I began, ladies and gentlemen. The Republican Party is reborn this week. It's rebranded. It's remade. We are now the party of working men and women, without a doubt. Without a doubt, we are now the party of minorities, all of them. We're the party of the middle class. We're the party of youth and of the elderly. We are the party of women. No president in our history has employed more women in top and more important positions than has President Trump. Another fact, ladies and gentlemen, we are the party of the majority of all of those groups, all of those demographics, women, minorities, Native Americans, Asians, Latinos, Black Americans, white Americans, Italian Americans, Irish Americans, white people, the majority. And the majority also includes common sense Americans. We're rebranded into that party now also, the party of common sense. We are the party of America. The New Democratic Socialist Party is not an American political party. How could they be? I mean, seriously, ask yourselves. All they want to do is gut America. They want to disembowel it. They want to deconstruct it and remake it. They want to do away with the philosophies of the founders. They want to do away with divine providence and God. That's not an American party, ladies and gentlemen. Not even close. But the Republican Party is now the only major American political party. Ladies and gentlemen, hi, Doug Billings here on the right side. You know, it's not every day that we here at the program get to meet someone who rubs elbows with American heroes. But we've done just that, and he's become a friend of the program, and we're grateful for it. The Commander's Artist, otherwise known on Twitter as The Real Mad Dog 58. Make sure you look him up and give him a follow on Twitter at The Real Mad Dog 58. And more importantly, perhaps, look him up on the web, www.thecommandersartist.com. He's the personal artist of General Mike Flynn. Personal friend of the general's is a personal friend of mine, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm flattered that he's become a friend of the right side. You can check out his artwork just over my right shoulder, the right side logo that we use at the beginning and end of every program. There's one of me up there in my Revolutionary War garb, protecting the Republic from intellectual liberal immaturity, and one of Donald Trump up there as well. We love it. My chosen leader. TheCommandersArtist.com and The Real Mad Dog 58 on Twitter. Mad Dog, Commander's Artist, thank you, brother. Thank you for your friendship, for all you've done for the show. Cheers.